Today, I'm having a conversation with Ken, who is a fellow entrepreneur, and I reached out to him to have a really incredible conversation a couple of weeks ago after seeing a very vulnerable post that he shared in a business group that we're in together. And through this conversation, I'm hoping that you're going to realize that seeking simplicity isn't the absence of hardship. It's not the absence of hard work. It's not the absence of hard times. And this conversation is talking about the vulnerability and the courage and the hardship that can come as part of seeking simplicity. We're also going to touch on collapsing timelines, stepping into new identities, and what it means to really live a life of freedom and expressing yourself creatively. So grab your brew and let's dive right in. Ken, welcome to the Seeking Simplicity podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So in the intro, I described how you are a fellow online entrepreneur. And what I want to share with everyone today is we'd never connected. I've seen your face pop up in the group that we are in together, like over and over and over again. But what made me reach out to you personally was you put up a really vulnerable post, and we're going to that in a second, because we then had the most incredible conversation. I want to bring snippets of that for other people to hear. But as I do with every guest, I would love for you to just share, what does seeking simplicity mean to you?
And that is such a great question because, like I told you before, like it means so different things to different people. Like there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of what is simplicity to you. And to me, I think it's mostly about the way of life. Like how can we live in a simple way without, feeling that we have to do all the things that people say we have to do. Like it doesn't have to be the way everyone wants it to be. I mean, we can set our own terms. We can do things our own way. We can create our own path. But we make it hard. We make it so hard because we think that we have to do it in a certain way because people tell us to, when we really don't need to. And that has been a long journey for me in particular, because I've been doing this for like 10 plus years now. And it's only now recently, in a few, like 6 months or so, that I've found the path of simplicity, of breaking new grounds, going my own path, not chasing someone else's dream, so to speak. So yeah, that's how I see simplicity.
I love that. And you know what? It's so synchronicitous because we had this conversation. I had my first call yesterday for my personal transformation program. And one of the first questions I asked each of the participants was, what do you think like the barriers are to you getting what you want or creating the results you want? And somebody said, well, my goals really aren't good enough goals. And I was like, well,
Says who,
right,
right?
exactly. What yards are you using? And because it wasn't around like having a monetary goal or an achievement or an attainment goal, and actually what she wanted in this season of her life was to feel peaceful and whole and to trust herself and to have more joy.
Mm.
Society has had her feel like that wasn't a big enough goal to go after. I think that's like the best thing ever.
That's probably the biggest one. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
So, and that kind of brings me into the fact that, like you said, you've been working for yourself, running your own business for just over 10 years. And I asked you just before we got on the call, like, what made you step away from the 9 to 5 and pursue this? And you shared with me that it was about it had always been a dream. You liked the idea of the freedom, and you also said it was about expressing yourself creatively.
Mhm.
How if you think about kind of like pre-entrepreneur and the post-entrepreneur versions of you, is there a way that you can kind of describe how unsimple your life felt in that 9 to 5? Like, what were some of the things you experienced that you don't have now?
Well, obviously, when you have a 9 to 5, you know what you're going to every single day. Like you go to work and you do the thing you're supposed to do, and in that sense, it's simple, right? So obviously, being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of uncertainty because you have to manage everything yourself, and it's your job to get work, get clients. But at the same time, I heard people say that, even if you have a 9 to 5, it doesn't mean that you are secure. Like that job, that could disappear in a matter of a month or maybe even a week because something went wrong with business and you didn't know. And suddenly you're standing there like, okay, well, thank you for everything. We need to shut down and good luck. Like that could happen.
Yeah. And what I love as well is what you've just shared is obviously when you made that break, no matter whether we're leaving behind a job that we hate, whenever we step into being responsible for making our own money in whatever way, like you said, there is so much uncertainty, and yet that allowed you to feel like you were seeking more simplicity, even with the uncertainty, even with the courage and the hardship that was required to make that leap. The simplicity came from, it sounds like, that decision that I'm going to do things my way and I'll figure it out, and I'm willing to do that. I heard one of my mentors saying today about you have to regulate yourself to the risk.
Mm.
I love that because that, as you know, I do a lot of work around nervous system regulation. And what I've noticed is there is naturally so much uncertainty in the world, period. And what a lot of people try and do is they will feel the uncertainty and they think the antidote to that is to create certainty, to get
Mm.
clarity, to get a definite decision, to formulate this pathway where they can second guess like all the emotions that are going to come and all the things that are going to happen. But my advice is learn to feel safe in the uncertainty because that's where you're going to spend
Mm.
time. So I love
Yeah.
like regulate yourself for the risk. So just kind of to sum that up for you, there's like the seeking simplicity is about honoring the things that are important to you, and you can do the hard things, you can take the hardships, you can do those big acts of courage, and it can still be an act of seeking simplicity. So I love that perspective shift. Right, let's get to this post. um so we're in a group of what, like how many people are in there? 10,000 people.
10,000? Yeah, I think so.
And we've already said predominantly women, and they're all business owners. And you shared a post a few weeks back, and you had shared a picture where you've clearly been crying, which, like, round of applause for that. And you shared really vulnerably how things had been challenging. So, do you want to just give us a summary of what that post was about, the experience you had had?
Well, like you said, it was about things being hard. And it's not the first time that I felt like things are hard.
Mhm.
There's been plenty of ups and downs, and yeah, I cried a couple of times before, and like it's nothing unusual in that sense. But this time, it's hard to explain, but you probably understand it. But feeling it deep down in my gut, like really, really feeling it, like it was a pain sticking in my stomach
Mm.
at that time, and it just broke me. I broke down in tears, like seriously broke down, and I was just kind of saying like, why can't I get a break? Like, why can't I just, yeah, why can't I get a break? Terrible question, by the way. But it's one of those things that we just put out there because we don't know any better at that time. But at the same time, I needed that breakdown in order to get the breakthrough. And I spent at least a couple of days just working through the emotions and trying to figure out like what is going on and how can I get through this? How can I get through the other side? But it was hard. And especially as a man, showing emotions, that's not something that is easy because we're looked at as weak when we do that. But at the same time, I felt like I was contemplating whether, like, should I take this picture or not? Like, me sobbing, like, oh my God. It sounds like, you're seeking attention or whatever. But at the same time, I felt like there was a deeper calling behind all of this. Like, there was something that was meant to share. And gratefully, the group that we're in, it's a safe space where I feel like I can share anything and I will not be judged no matter what I share. And sure enough, I wasn't judged at all. People open up instead and share their stories, and it created this magical post that just went viral in that sense in that group because I've never seen anything create that much engagement at all. So it's really powerful and led me down a path of exploring a little bit more of how I can share more of those kind of conversations, those hard conversations that we tend to not have because entrepreneurship is hard. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of ups and downs. It's not a straight line. It's a lot of crying, to be honest. It is behind the scenes, of course. We don't show it, but yeah,
I love that. And I know, I obviously commented and then we had a conversation. You shared with me that lots of people reached out. You had some amazing
yeah,
conversations. And one of the things that I always say to people, in fact, I saw this, this might sound a little sad, but I'm in quite a few Facebook groups for camper vanners, right? Because we've just bought this camper van.
right, yep,
And there was a post recently by a man who said, again, who was like, "Oh, I feel really awful writing this, but I'm newly divorced. I'm fighting for custody of my children. Da da da. I'm
mm,
living in a van, and I posted. I just put, thank you so much for having the courage to share, because when we
yeah,
share that vulnerably, we give other people permission to do the same,
mm-hmm,
and we'll help people, even if they don't comment. People will be like, oh, it's not just me. And I had like 80 people or more than that like that comment, because I simply reflected back at this guy. I get how hard this is for you to say that.
yeah,
And, thank you for being, a beacon for allowing other people to do the same. And that's what you did in that group. Because
mm-hmm,
again, there can be this lean, I guess, in the entrepreneur world to just share when things are going well.
exactly, yeah,
And if your Instagram is very grid pretty, and I the amount of people that come along and say to me, "You're so good at your social media, and you do great posts and all that," and I'm like, "You've got no, I'm a hot mess over here." It's just, I've not got any ducks in any row at all. They're like on opposite sides of the street. So you came up with all these amazing conversations. People shared with you. People were like, "Oh my good, thank goodness that you shared that, because phew, I feel the same way."
mm-hmm,
When we connected and we had this conversation, you was talking about this incredible experience where you literally saw and felt timelines collapsing behind you. So I'm going to just give a little bit of context to that, if this
yeah,
sounds a bit like way out there for other people, right? So, and it might be a little bit way out. I have a theory that we learn in layers, and I shared this with you on our call, and that one of the things, and in fact, I think I'm going to do my next podcast on this, and that one of the things that often keeps us stuck is that we're trying to race ahead of our learning timeline. And we
yeah,
buy the courses and we invest the money and we push, 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 and we go, go, go. But we're actually doing it from a place of lack and resistance rather than a place of trust and sufficiency.
mm, yeah,
And when we just can slow down a little bit and allow, the vision I always get in my head is the Iron Man film, when he stood on his plinth and then all the different bits of like his armor land on him one at a time. And I thought that's what happens with our learning. And then one day, like the whole suit just lands, and we're like, oh yes, there's a certain sense of arrival.
right,
And that's what I felt when you described this sensation of these timelines collapsing, and you knew you couldn't go back because you were no longer that person.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
would love for you, if you can remember a little bit about that conversation, share that, because I think that is so powerful. If people can feel what I felt when you said that, there is so much availability for them to have that experience.
okay. I don't remember specifically, but the way I see it is that we have these multiple timelines. We're on one right now, and there is one above us that has the future that you're looking for.
Mhm.
But it's not going to happen because you push it. Like, it's not going to happen unless it will let you happen. You just got to trust that things will arrive when they need to.
Mhm.
And that's obviously really hard because we want something so bad that we try to push to get to that next level. But you will know when you shift to the new timeline. Like it would happen in a way that you just know. And that will just continue because once you get to that timeline, there's going to be a new timeline and then it's going to be a new timeline. And, like we just said, you can't go back to the last one because you're not that person anymore. to just continue and just continue to build and leap into the new timeline. And so that's what I mean by the time collapsing behind me. Just knowing that something has shifted. We know more. We have more knowledge. We have this new sense of purpose, and we just know to move forward. And when that happens, at least to me, it just changes your energy, how you respond to things and how you see things, and you get this new high, basically.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's an incredible experience once you kind of realize and just see it for what it is and stop pushing. I know that's easier said than done because I've done it like probably 9 years out of the 10 years I've been doing this. I've been pushing, right? So it
I'm
didn't
with you.
like seriously, it didn't happen until last November of 2024. That was like the first proper timeline shift that I could feel.
Yeah.
And I didn't even push it. I had left everything behind. I said, like to January 2024, I said, like, I'm ready to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. But I decided to keep one client and just see what happens. Like, whatever happens, happens, and we'll figure it out. So I let everything go. And then come November, it just dawned on me like what I was supposed to do. And it's been there all along. I just hadn't seen it, but
Mm.
I wasn't meant to see it until November.
I've got goosebumps because it's so mirroring my experience.
Hmm.
I think I shared with you, I can't remember, but I did exactly the same. Mine came from, losing my dad and the pandemic and,
Yep.
women's hormonal things and all the things happening all at once. It was like implosion. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like you, I'm just done. I'm too tired. I don't have the emotional, mental, or physical availability for this anymore. And I'd almost was convincing myself that I'd fallen out of love with the things that I'd fallen in love with, like the coaching.
Right. Yep.
And exactly what you just said, I let it all go because I thought, okay, if I'm going to coach myself out of this, I I can't do. I found myself sort of thinking I was doing something different, but actually I'd just taken a lateral step. I'd taken a side step. So I was kind of doing
Mm.
the same things, but I just wrapped it up in a different disguise. Right. So I'm like, okay, so the question was, if I was going to do this completely differently, how would it look? And I just kept hearing, you've got to let go of it all. You've
Hmm.
got to stop the pushing, you've got to stop the forcing because hard work and being busy from a place of resistance, lack, and insufficiency is never going to give you what you want. But there is so much like safety in that clinging, isn't there? It's like perching on the edge, like I just can't let go because there's a sense of me in here. And then when we do let go and we do fall, it's we start to just see things that we couldn't see before.
Hmm.
And I liken it to, I think a lot of us has been, and I think entrepreneurs, I think we're notoriously hard on ourselves for one.
Of course. Yeah.
There's lots of comparison because of us now. And I also think we walk around feeling like we've got these gaps in us, in our worth, in our knowledge, in our, in our what's possible for us. And we go around, we try and fill these gaps with things. We launch a new program and we try and make more money, or we get a new client and then you get the new client and you still feel equally as shit. Like a week later, you're like, oh God, like I've got the hole again, like it's popped out. And these timeline shifts actually release the identities and the beliefs and the patterns that we're holding that stop us seeing the truth of who we are.
Yeah.
It's instead of us, we don't lack something. The only thing we lack is the ability to see the truth. And when you were talking about like these timelines collapsing, I sort of had like there was like a Super Mario Kart picture in my head, like you were running away and all these things were happening behind you. And you're right, you sort of step into this whole new identity, and it's a cellular shift, right? It's not just, oh, I'm just going to choose to think different.
No.
I'm going to just go launch this new product. On a cellular level, boom, something shifted,
You
and
feel it in your body, like
do
literally.
the visceral feeling. And I get it because I'm exactly where you are now. And sometimes I still pinch myself and go like, where's the girl that worried about everything and was trying
Hmm.
to force things to happen? Like I think she left when the 50th birthday kit came around. I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah.
I'm grateful that she's here. So I love that for you. So could you then tell us? or share with us, since this kind of internal transformation, rebirth, whatever you want to call it, how is that showing up in the way that you, the energy that you bring to your business, and how, what sort of shift has it created?
I'm not gonna say that it's there all the time. Obviously, it's still, we still face that wall that
Mm-hmm.
hits us, or we run into that wall every now and then. Um, but you just feel more confident and you show up with more conviction because you not only believe in yourself, but you believe in everything that you create, every offer that you put out there, the messaging that you put out there. It's it's got that different vibe. And yes, it can always improve. It's never perfect and it's never meant to be honest. But yeah, it shifts everything, but from within and the output that you get from it.
Yeah, and that sort of resonates well. I was listening again to a mentor this morning, and she was talking about the different identities of
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship, and the one where you're a leader.
Yeah,
And I've always said that you cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. And she described
true.
it, if you are not walking your talk, if you are not willing to feel the hardship, to have the emotional, to be in that emotional challenge, to she sort of said, like go first, go often, right?
Hmm.
Learn by failure. Like if you're not willing to do that, then when you are speaking to potential clients, when you are not leading with authenticity, because she said you're teaching from a conceptual point of view, you're not coaching from experience.
Right. Yeah.
And so, we've got this amazing availability now to turn around and say, look, I can tell you how hard this is, right?
Because I've been there.
Because I've been there. You know what? And like you said, we still revisit it. We don't ever
Yeah.
come to this glorious utopian thing where we feel bloody fantastic all of the time. Like that just does not happen. But we develop that emotional resiliency, and we're like, oh my God, it's like when you pull a plaster off, like a band-aid, right?
Hmm.
This is gonna hurt, but I'm gonna manage. And I think that one of the lessons, and maybe this feels true for you or not, I don't know, but one of the things that has helped me with this process is really leaning into a truth that is the outcome is the journey.
Mm.
So let's just say, for instance, we're talking to anybody that's on any kind of achievement line now. So whether they want to make more money in their business, whether they're trying to lose like 20 pounds, whether they want to meet their soulmate and all the things. When you get to that end point, let's just imagine that last $10 rolls into your account and you've hit like 500,000 as an example, right?
Hmm.
You learn nothing in that last $10. It's all the things that
Those
came
are things
before.
before. Yeah.
And when we can lean into that and go, oh my God, like I've just learned this horrible lesson and it was really painful, but I could only have learned it because I put myself in that space.
Yeah. And but it's everything is happening for you versus to you, right? But you get the experience, you get the lesson to move forward. And especially what I've learned is, obviously, working on limiting beliefs, subconscious patterns, that kind of stuff. That's heavy and that's hard and that takes years. And now I can really quickly pick up on those, both subconscious patterns and limiting beliefs, and I can deal with them. I can tackle them right away instead of a couple of years ago. You could spend days, weeks, maybe months struggling with this, not even moving forward. And now we can just deal with it within 30 minutes and like, okay, cool, let's move on.
Yeah,
But that's because
because
we
of
worked on it.
before, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that level of self-awareness. When I'm talking to my clients about recognizing limiting patterns, somatic sort of limiting patterns that are ingrained in our fascia, as an example, like we don't just go to our brain and go, oh, hang on a minute, I've seen that limiting thought that I have about I can't make X amount of money. Let me just unthink that, or let me just rewire that with a new thought, because there is this intricate matrix in your body. So as we deepen that level of self-awareness and we and we like move our body into a different shape or move our body into a different pattern. We learn to repattern through our musculature and through our neurology and through the way that we take our coffee in the morning. Like if we're crying into our coffee every morning versus having that first coffee and being like, I'm winning my day. I'm winning my day already because I'm here and I'm breathing and I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
Not for like what do they call it, like a Pollyanna perspective, but
Right.
just choosing that physical, mental, emotional, physiological state that you can anchor into.
Yeah, and that could be in any form, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, the woo stuff is just stupid, it's ridiculous, Uh, but at the same time, the way I see it is, well, who cares? Like, if it makes you happy, more happy, then do it. Like, I believe in the universe and I believe in, numbers, signs from the universe. And that makes me feel a little bit more at ease, a little bit more happy. So why not do it? Like, who cares, right?
And I think there's quite a lot of science now to back up the woo.
Of
Um,
course, things are different now, but still, there's still going to be people who say like, "What are you crazy? Come on, that's."
but I think about if we just kind of wrap up with if we think about some of the super successful people that we might see a lot in our space, so like the Tony Robbins, like the Oprah, like I like Elizabeth Gilbert. Lots of these people didn't come from they're not successful because of the knowledge.
No,
They
everyone can have the knowledge, right?
and not everyone expresses it, utilizes it in the same way. It's the way that you show up for yourself. It's the way that you keep going. And again, the keep going thing, if you keep going in the same capacity and keep getting a result that you don't want, you need to be going in a different way. And that can be hard to let go of because you're like, but I've done all the things and I've done all the courses. Yeah. So maybe the thing now is to let go.
Right?
Take longer than a week out to try and reframe your entire life. Maybe because you've been on this road for so long, you're not even seeing it. There's 30 different directions behind you. And I don't know about you, but what I feel now is going to what you said about believing in the universe. And if people don't want to go down that line, then you can just believe in the fact that we're surrounded by this energy that responds to our energy and
Hmm.
creates like the classic example is you get out of the bed in the morning, your bed in the morning, and you stub your toe on the bed, or you get your pajamas stuck on the door handle on the way out. That can probably really piss you off for the rest of the day. Whereas if you wake up and your partner's put a croissant on a coffee next to the bedside table, like it's and the rest of the day kind of like goes into that energy.
Mm.
What I've noticed for myself is that doing this repatterning and coming to a place of feeling sufficient helps has helped me to feel more trust and faith in what I can't see, and therefore I can just take action from a place of excitement and curiosity and uncertainty, and I trust that there is some kind of magic shizzle going on outside that I can't see
Mm.
that's bringing me a reality that I can't create in my own brain yet. Does that make sense? Because
100%, absolutely, yeah.
I yes, there are some things that I would love, like I'd love a house by the sea, and I would,
Of course.
you know, but I don't, there's, I'm very sort of driven by how I want to feel. So, like you said at the beginning, the freedom and expressing yourself creatively.
Hmm.
I just keep doing what I'm in control of. There's every chance that the universe, the universal life force, the matrix, whatever, is going to go, here, Louise, here's an opportunity that you couldn't have created in your brain because you couldn't see it.
Hmm. Absolutely, and I mean, it's been proven plenty of times when you put out that energy and suddenly you get this email or this message from someone like, "What? How does that happen?" Like, but yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the ladies that I always come back to is J.K. Rowling. When she was writing that Harry Potter and
Mm.
Train, I think the story goes, and she got rejected by so many people. I'm quite certain at that point, she wasn't thinking that she would have like Harry Potter world and that she would
No.
be a billionaire. Like, but it was. I remember listening to Wayne Dyer once, and he said, just focus on where you are and doing it with conviction, like you said, and energy,
Hmm.
and let the universe unfold in front of you.
Yes, exactly.
And that makes us responsible for what we are in control of. And one of my other mentors says, you're in control of your attitude and you're in control of your actions.
Yeah.
And if you focus on that and harness that energy, and that's when things really start to change.
Yes. Love it.
Anyway, my darling, we're going to start wrapping up. So tell me, or tell the listeners, where they can find you. I will put all your links in the show notes anyway. But actually, before we even do that, just tell people what your business is and then tell people where they can find you. That would be a good idea.
Okay. Well, I'm known as the Sales Page Pro. So if you go to Instagram and just search for the Sales Page Pro, you find me. But that's what I do. I help people with their sales pages, help them convert better. And I love to be direct. I do not care for fluff. There's too many people out there trying to be too nice, but sometimes we just need the brutal honest. And it's not just about messaging, it's about design as well. It's about offers, it's about visual flow, it's about the whole package. And we tend to miss all that sometimes. And it's just a matter of making all those three things work together. So, yeah.
So Sales Page Pro.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, I'll make sure that everything gets put in the link. And I'm really excited to see how this timeline shift is going to like play out for you moving through. So we'll be stalking you in BBD, and
Cool.
hopefully we can reconnect maybe in like 6 months' time and share again what's happened when you just kind of like follow that simplicity, even when things are hard. So thank you so much for yet again another lovely conversation. And hopefully I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.